Welcome everybody to Finance Friday, and we have a very special guest today. It is Denise. Oh my God, I'm going to ruin your name after we had that whole discussion. Denise Lettau.
Correct.
I started trying to say it the French way. It's not French. And Denise is a lawyer who works, excuse me, who works with people to help their care plans, which, we were talking a little bit before that I wasn't so aware of everything that goes on. Probably nobody else out there does either, Denise. So do you want to give us like a high level overview of what it is that you do? Like, what are care plans? Why do we need them?
Right. Okay. The company that I work for is called National Care Advisors. It is entirely owned and operated by nurses. I am not a nurse, so I'm not an owner. But essentially what we do primarily, we do a lot of things, but primarily what we do is help families make plans with regard to their personal care. And that's either families with individuals with disabilities or families with individual disabilities or individuals who are aging and they want to have a plan in place for, what's that going to look like? Where are they going to live? How are they going to live? Who's going to assist them with their day-to-day activities? These kinds of things that we're actually having families sit down and have a conversation about what should this look like. So whether it's a loved one with special needs or, a couple or individual that's aging, just having really a document there along with their other documents so that there is clear direction as to what their wishes are.
So that was something I was going to ask. Is this like a will? Is this in place of a will, in addition to a will?
This is in addition to all of those things. So most people should do a will. Some will need to do a trust. Everyone should do a durable power of attorney for when they're no longer able to manage their financial affairs. In Florida, it's called a healthcare surrogate. In other parts of the country, a power of attorney with regard to health or medical decisions. People should have all of that documentation in place, and that is wonderful. But then the actuality of the wishes and desires of during that phase of disability, you could say, if you're reaching the age of 85, it's quite typical that your mental faculties will decline, that it'll be noticeable.
That's a little scary.
Well,
you think you're going to live forever and you'll be like whole the entire time. I guess you might not be.
You do, but there, unexpected things happen. This gives you the opportunity to say, these are my desires and my wishes in the event of. So should this occur, whatever it may be, you may, God forbid, have some, who knows, illness. And it may mean that you're no longer able to live in your home, for example. What would you want to do? How would that look? If you have the means to stay in your home and can have the care coming in, how should that look? Who would you like to determine that? These are all the kinds of factors that people put off, that people just don't really want to talk about. And it used to be the same thing with wills.
Is this a difficult discussion? Is that what you're saying? Like, this is not the most pleasant conversation around dinner table.
No,
if I'm incapacitated, who's taking care of me? So that's actually, though, a great point is, how do you go about bringing these kind of things up? Do you have any advice on, do you bring it up to your parents? Is this something that you should do to parents to their kids? Is there any?
Yes. Yes. And there's actually it's called actually the Conversation Project. And what they do is actually train people, a lot of them adult children, in how to have these conversations with your parents about, how they want the end of their days really to look like, particularly if they're no longer mentally functioning. It's usually one or the other. You're either physically fit and mentally gone, or you're mentally fit and physically gone.
That's a little depressing. I'm gonna say.
But
I kind of went both. Either one, not half and half.
Both diminished. That's good
or
too.
both good. If I'm falling
Well,
apart, I don't want to know about it.
well, maybe think of it like an umbrella. Like if you bring it along, it's not going to rain. So if you have the plan, maybe it's going to be
Maybe you don't
better
need it. Yeah.
than not having the plan. And what it does do is it prevents, the Chinese fire drill when something happens and everybody's scrambling, and no one has anticipated any of the needs or the wants. The most important thing is what the individual would desire. And this way you don't have to second guess. And if there are a number of adult children involved or siblings involved looking after a loved one with
Oh
disabilities,
man.
you can have some real,
Ooh, some
right,
doozies, I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Interfamily
Well, not only that,
problems
but
of.
they're all speaking for mom wanted this or dad told me this or whatever. Let's have mom or dad document what they want.
Right. So it'll take out, actually, so it's a difficult conversation to have at the time, but the result is going to be a much better experience for everybody, and you get what you think you want at the time when you put it
Right.
together.
And were you going to say something?
No, keep going.
Oh no, no. And sometimes it goes better than anticipated. I know that I was asked to guide this discussion for a family, and adult children, they were petrified of bringing up these things with their parents. And they absolutely actually lit up and said, we haven't been thinking about this, and we need to, like, we should. It's kind of, we don't want to be a burden on our kids. We want them to know what we want. So they were happy that somebody even brought it up and mentioned it. So that being said, I understand that if family members don't want to do it, hire somebody to do it, because you want people to be open and honest. And maybe there are sometimes the honesty will come to place later when you're saying, mom and dad have decided they want this. Are you able to carry this out? If not, that's a different discussion, because a lot of people can be named, but that doesn't mean they're willing or able. That's the other thing.
Oh,
So,
so do you ever have people who get named and maybe they don't know that they were named, and
all the
they're like
time.
oh, well, I can't take care of grandma, or I can't take care of your child. So what do you do in those situations?
Yeah, that means we're scrambling. That means
Oh,
we're trying
back to the
to
Chinese fire drill.
That's it. Yes, that means we're scrambling. We're trying to figure out uh, what's in the best interest of that individual. What may have the parents, for example, what may they have wanted in a scenario? Who were they thinking of in the event if they didn't name? Who else would have been their choice or preference? So yeah, I mean, all the time. That's what people don't really understand, is that a lot of times, and people, that's the other thing, is you have to go back and review all of your documents on a regular basis, because things
Oh my
change. So if
goodness.
you
Yeah,
put
you
them
hear those
away,
stories, like somebody
yeah,
becomes famous and they didn't ever update their will, or they had like,
right,
$100 to
right,
their name, and now they're like bazillionaires and everyone's
right.
fighting over their
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. You're putting those
Oh my
documents
goodness.
away and you're never touching them again. You went to that
You have to
attorney a couple of
update.
times and you didn't review it, and now your POA, your durable power of attorney, he's no longer available or no longer
Or
living.
capable or something. Yeah. Oh
They
geez.
predeceased. They've moved. There's no longer a relationship. They're estranged. I mean, all these things come up that people.
Yeah.
So you have to also, you can't just do it and say, "Yay, that was wonderful," and put it away and never look at it again. You have to
It's
come
like a
back.
living it's like a living document almost. It's got to
It,
keep
it
being
is.
updated. Yeah.
They all should be treated. They should all be treated as living documents. Up until you really no longer have the ability to make those decisions, you
To
should
keep
continue to
deciding.
make them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. So we're talking about kind of parents, right? Like
Mhm.
elderly parents. Do you do special needs planning? Say if you've got a child that
Yes,
has special needs, is it kind of the same thing? Is it different? How does that work?
we do. A lot of what we're doing is for children or young adults or even adult adults with special needs. We do assessments quite often, especially with older individuals, they were never properly assessed because it was a stigma, and the parents didn't do it. And now they are in their 50s and 60s and sometimes 70s, and they've never been properly diagnosed. And family
That's
members are
crazy.
saying, we need somebody to step in here. We don't quite know. We know there's something. We don't know exactly what it is. That type of scenario, when children are younger, um, we will do planning with regard to educational plans if that's needed. We assist with that. Transitional planning, once they kind of age out of traditional educational programs, which is typically age 22.
Oh
Um,
wow.
if they're going to a public school system. Um, so we will assist with that. See what is there a possibility for vocational um, education, or can they even go on to college or further? So we look at, really, in a way, it's kind of like life planning. What does that
Yeah.
vision look like? And we also do it with somewhat of the view of, if the parents aren't around, what was really the vision for the life of this individual?
Right.
How did,
Right.
so
What
we'll
were
look
they
at the
expecting for
capability.
them?
What were they expecting?
Yeah.
What are the capabilities? Can they live on their own? Uh, do they need to live in a group setting?
Yeah. A lot of stuff
Where,
to think about.
yeah, where will they
Yeah.
live? How will they live? What can be afforded? What planning should be
Right.
occurring in the event? Will they need public benefits?
Mm.
And should they be
Oof.
receiving public benefits? So that gets into the whole special needs trust
Yeah.
questions. So
Yeah, and that's
it's
a whole complicated area into itself. It's very complicated. Trusts are complicated, and in general. Uh,
what special needs trust, I think, get kind of a bad rap, as in terms of being, actually, in a way, they're kind of less complicated because you're limited as to what you can make disbursements for. So in a way, you're somewhat limited, and you're always bearing in mind that you want to keep the government benefits in place. So you have to be careful as to how those disbursements are taking place or occurring. So it's, on the one hand, I think people view them as complicated is because there's probably not enough information out there about them. Um, but they're a wonderful tool, and they can really assist in prolonging funds that an individual has. If you are able to um, obtain SSI and Medicaid, because you cannot possibly get a conventional health insurance plan, for example, without it being exorbitant to your family. And you can receive some SSI. You can stretch out those dollars of whatever the family may be able to personally provide. So if you look at that on a cumulative whole, that can really add a lot of funds to an individual. And there are other benefits that they may be able to receive, that they may qualify for.
so I think the takeaway there is, even if it seems complex, overwhelming, like, find a good attorney
Yes,
who specializes in this,
yes,
because if you think about the net present value of all those benefits for your loved one, like, it will far outweigh whatever the setup fees and ongoing taxes and all that kind of stuff. It's totally
absolutely.
worthwhile. Yeah. And
Yeah, yeah.
and probably a lot of people don't even know that that's an option, that even exists.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more widespread, but I do think that not certainly not enough people are aware, and they should also make their family members aware
Yeah.
too, because family members often, when you have a special needs trust, the amount of resources or assets that you can have are limited unless they're in the trust.
Mm.
So the trust, that can be whatever size. Outside of the trust, not more than $2,000.
Whew.
So when your aunt in Seattle doesn't know that
Oh.
you have a special needs trust, and she wants to do a good thing, and she leaves you $100,000, where you're disqualified for a certain period of time
Oh,
from your
geez.
public benefits. So the thing is to, let auntie and uncle and everybody else in the family know, because if they want to do this wonderful thing, they need to do it in the proper way. And that would be to name
Gotcha.
that special needs trust, for example.
Right. Put it in the
Um,
trust, not to the
yeah,
person.
to have it transferred,
Ooh,
not providing
so
it outright.
many, so many complexities, but that is a great thing to keep in mind for anybody who's doing this. Well, Denise, I don't want to keep you here all day, although I think we could talk about this for hours. It's very
Yes.
interesting, fascinating. I always find I mean, come at these things from the tax side. It's like, well, how do you deal with the taxes for this stuff? But there's the like human element. There's that familial, interpersonal. Like, how do we bridge these things? So I think that's super important. I'm so glad you agreed to come on and we got to talk about this. I have one last question.
Mhm.
Do you have any interesting hobbies?
Well, I guess interesting. I depends on who thinks it's interesting. I am well. I'm kind of like a yoga nut, I would call it. I'm very much into doing yoga when everything opens up. Maybe going on more yoga retreats again.
Oh, I love yoga retreats.
Our yoga retreats the best. So all of that kind of stuff. No, I absolutely that has brought so much to me physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Yeah,
So that's probably why I say I'm a nut about it because it's really kind of sustained me.
yeah,
Because we have relatively difficult jobs in a certain way.
yeah,
A lot of difficult conversations,
yes.
and so
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, and it's a great release mentally, physically, all of it. I love yoga. It's
yeah.
great. It's great. I do. I love it. I should do more of it. I'd probably be a
Well,
little more
people start to
relaxed.
open up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think things will open up more so we can go to classes where we feel comfortable. I finally got disciplined enough to really go for it on my own. So,
Yeah. I actually
but
went
I'm
to an
looking.
outdoor class, which was
Oh,
fantastic. I had never done like outdoor yoga. I was like, this is great. You can breathe
yeah,
fresh air. It's nice,
yeah,
sunny.
that's nice. That's nice. I don't like the beach so much because of the sand, but I can see
Yeah.
outside being
This
really
was at
good.
like a park. It was very
Yeah,
nice.
that's wonderful.
It was cool.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Well,
cool.
Denise, again, thank you so much. We're gonna have your contact info posted, so if anyone needs to get a hold of you, has any questions, they can reach out directly. And we'll see everyone next time. Thanks.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you so much
Thanks.
for having me.